Welcome back to the Vault. This is Kirkpatrick and Company, and today's company, Aileen Bennett. Welcome to the Vault.
Good morning.
I'm happy that you're here.
I'm happy that you're here on time.
Oh, are we going to go there?
I think it's one of our lessons.
Okay, it's one of our lessons that we've learned. We had afternoon tea about 2 weeks ago. We had, let's think, how many people do we have? 3 hours and 4 people an hour, so 12 people.
Yes.
And we just had a very simple ask, like, tell us what you want to do. Can we give you advice? We tried to keep it pretty low pressure, but we really just wanted for people to say out loud what they wanted to do, what their goals were. And there are a lot of lessons learned from that.
There were by us, and hopefully some by the people we spoke to. But yeah, it was delightful. The coffee shop coffee weed, I think we can mention them.
Yes.
Actually gave us little proper teacups to drink out of and ordered tea in especially. And that was all a surprise and beautiful.
And you made me step outside of my box. I ordered macarons, and I only wanted to eat the vanilla and chocolate. You made me taste the starry colors, Earl Grey, I think passion fruit.
Yes.
I've got to stick with vanilla and chocolate. I know what I know. I like what I like.
But one day you're going to taste something new. And I decided, I don't know if you know this, at the beginning of this year, that there was nothing I didn't like anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still a bit wary of tomatoes. Tomatoes and I have a strange relationship, but if they're on my plate, I will eat them now. And I just decided I will like everything. And it's kind of an interesting exercise.
I heard you also have made it a point to start liking olives.
Olives was my last year's New Year's resolution.
Okay.
Yeah.
So your 2024 New Year's resolution was learn to love olives?
Yes.
And did you learn to love olives?
I don't love them, but I don't hate them anymore. And I don't even dislike them. I will eat them if they're on my plate. And sometimes just for fun.
So, Aileen Bennett, when I think of someone's tombstone, the people who I think may know you as a greater, maybe the greater public, illustrator, writer, but that's not what you actually set out to do. These are things that you enjoyed doing and ended up figuring out a way to do it every day.
Yeah, I guess. As a kid, I just wanted to be a graphic designer. If you'd met me when I was 3 years old, I would have told you a graphic designer. Mm-hmm. If you'd have said, oh, you mean artist, I would have corrected you and explained why a graphic designer was completely differently. So I was just adamant about being that. And I was that. And then I was like, okay, what's next? And now I guess I pursue fun. Illustration has become my love. I was sick a few years ago. I had cancer. And during chemo, you're in bed a lot, and I think I'd finished Netflix, and I started drawing for fun. But like when you're 7 and you just draw, and you don't know what it's going to be,
yeah.
and that
it doesn't have to be anything. It's just filling the time.
Yeah, and it was the only thing that made time just disappear, and I enjoyed the process. And I was like, I think I want to be an illustrator, and I thought this was like life changing. And my husband was like, yeah. And I think everyone else, it was a small step sideways. To me, it was a giant change in my life. And now I am an illustrator.
It's funny because I feel like the 2 words "be you" was something that defined you for a long time, especially in this area. You wrote a column, a newspaper column, where you really pushed people to be themselves. You asked some very deep questions, but I almost thought it was questions people aren't normally asked about themselves. Maybe it's something you're curious about, but you treated them as if they were Tom Cruise sitting right in front of them, and you wanted to know their secret.
Yeah.
That wasn't a question.
It was a question.
Yeah, but that's what you did. And so BU sort of did become this thing. I honestly think what's next is kind of like your current mantra. You're pushing a lot of people to think about what's next and not to limit themselves.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think BU's gone away. I think it's the one thing everybody wants to be. I want to be my strange, quirky self. And I think a lot of it's to do with that. I don't naturally fit in. And it's easy to say it's because I'm an immigrant. It's because I'm not from here. I didn't grow up the same way. But I didn't think I really fitted in anywhere ever. Because even when I went to art college, I went to do graphic design. I was the one secretly sneaking to the library because I noticed they had every John Steinbeck novel. And I was determined to read them all in order. And I don't think I told anyone I was doing that. I've always had that geeky side and that creative side. I love business, and in fact, fascinated by it, but I want to be an artist. So it's kind of like using all of them, and I don't know if I don't fit in. I'm not saying I stand out, but I've never felt like I'm like good at fitting in. Also, I'm really bad at small talk.
Yeah.
So if I can just switch to like
Big talk.
what's the dream? Like, what's your greatest fear? Then I'm much, much happier in that place.
It's funny because you're kind of talking about design as a part of life, a part of lifestyle. One thing that stands out to me about my first trip ever to Europe, it actually did not happen until my flight home when I got back to the airport and I had to walk up to the version of TSA at Heathrow Airport. And I just thought, this is so relaxing and beautiful looking. Where in the US, we're used to the kind of the turnstiles, the long lines, can we say rude demeanor, abrupt. Let's just say they're abrupt at TSA, where I felt like even the conveyor belts were curved and they just sort of went in, and the rooftop, it was just good to look at. So it took the stress away. When I think about going to airport security in the States, the ceiling is low. You feel like you might be going to federal prison. You're not sure if someone actually dropped drugs into your bag. It's just different.
I think it's got better all over the world, honestly. I was just watching this thing about a tunnel in Norway, and it's the longest underground tunnel. We're used to like long bridges here.
Yeah.
This is like underground. It's a tunnel. I think, don't quote me on this, it's something like 25 miles or whatever in a tunnel. And they were worried that people would like almost get hypnotized by the tunnel and then crash. Because if you've just got lights coming at you at a distance, so it changes color, and like sometimes it feels like you're more outside, so it feels like lots of small tunnels that change rather than one long tunnel. And I think that's to do with the human mind. And I think more people now pay attention on public spaces and how they feel. It's like the temple grandin thing.
Yeah.
It's like how you herd sheep. It's like you've got to make them feel comfortable doing it or they panic. And I think people are very similar.
The red light district in Amsterdam, there was an issue with it that I never anticipated until I was there, and I actually saw the fix to the problem that I never knew was a problem.
I didn't think we were going there today.
Here we are.
Tell us.
That there is a tunnel that's made for families who have to walk through the red light district so that kids don't have to see it. And so when you're walking through, there are cartoon characters. It's light. It's a tunnel. It's closed off. And it's not very long. The red light district is not massive. But it basically is a way for families to walk through that area without seeing, this district that Amsterdam is known for. And again, it's a solution to a problem I would have not even thought about, again, until I was probably there with my own kids. Like, no, we're going to avoid this area. But that's a pedestrian, bike-friendly city. Maybe that's not an option. Just think that's really cool.
I just think design should be kind. Every time my husband kills me, we go to Target, we park around the side, like as you're coming in off the road, and like we park, and every time I think if they'd just taken the lines of the parking lot and painted them on the wall, we'd be able to see like exactly where the lines are. And it's like some paint. Like, even you could just put dashes and put that. To me, that's kind design. Like, what is easiest for people? And I'm the one people always expect me to love the shopping trolley thing, like kind people, like the ultimate act of kindness or being human is taking your shopping trolley back. No, it's not. There were times I couldn't do that. There were lots of people who can't do it. There were times I was going through chemo. It was enough to walk back to the car. I couldn't have done it. There were people with young children, and I know there were methods out there, but women who don't feel safe taking it back and then walking back to their car. The ultimate human kindness is when you're able, you take other people's trolleys back. That's the thing.
Way.
And I can't be bothered to write that on Facebook every time I see someone quote it. But I think because now I love taking trolleys back or carts, sorry, I should say.
Baskets.
Baskets are handheld things.
Okay.
So these are the things with wheels. But now I like the fact I'll take ours back, but also I'll pick up any others from anybody else because I can. There were times I couldn't, and they needed other people to do what I do now. And that's the ultimate human act.
Our company today on Kirkpatrick and Company is Aileen Bennett. I want to get back to this afternoon tea that we had because it was so great. One of our favorite coffee shops, Coffee Weed Cottage. this was meant to be a series of 2-on-2 meetings that ended up eventually, I think at one point, becoming a 10-on-2 meeting because people came to have coffee with us and then they never left. And then we ended up with this massive conversation, and it really was all about genuine connection.
It was. People were meeting each other. I think where people came and we didn't tell them anything. Like, we didn't say, we want to know what you want to do. Some people came just for a chat.
Yeah.
But then them meeting each other, and we, like, when they were like, do we have to leave after 30 minutes? And of course we're like, no, you can stay.
Just stay.
And yeah, I think one time there were like 9 or 10 chairs around the table. But I sat back at some point and realized there were lots of conversations with 2 or 3 people. There wasn't kind of one person talking and 9 person, and they were genuine listening conversations. And they were the conversations that were like, how can I help that? Oh my God, I didn't know you did this. And I think it's a skill you particularly have. And when I'm trying to learn, when you introduce people, you almost introduce them by the thing they have in common that they didn't know about each other. And I think it's something you do.
I never thought about it because it's definitely not intentional, but to me, that connection is so important. You know, it's like the ultimate lesson. Like, I always tell people, don't step on anyone on the way up because you have no idea when you're coming down who you're going to pass again.
Okay, I've heard that a lot, and I nod, and it's true. But how do you know when you're up and when you're down?
You never do.
That's the thing. You might like.
It's like the good old days. You don't know that this is the good old days.
Yes.
Until 10 years from now, you think, oh my gosh, we had so much time. We got to sit in a podcast studio and talk about pie in the sky ideas and everything else. There might be a time 5 years from now where our life is very much different.
Yeah.
And we look back at this as the good old days. So you almost have to treat every day like it's the good old days.
And you know, you're the youngest you're ever going to be every day.
Yeah.
And you have to do that. And it's like the barriers we put in front of ourselves. When you look at the big picture, they get removed. They say it might be that you start off in a career where you're like, oh, I get to boss. This is higher. I'm ranked higher than you. And then like you give it all up to be an illustrator. And where does that fit into the ranking? So it's like not a case of. It's just a case of helping everyone, because they naturally help you in return. And I don't think it's even. I don't think it's the same people that help you back. That's not what karma is. You help someone the way you can. Somebody else is going to appear and help you the way
they can.
So some people are like, I did all this for this person and they've never done anything for me. That's fine. Karma is much bigger than like a relationship between 2 people. It's like what you put out, you get back.
There were a few lessons that stand out to me. One of them is, with the majority of the people we talk to, humility is important, but to a fault. And I think that there are some people who are so humble in what they can do, it actually ends up holding them back. Can you sort of dive into that a little bit? Did you pick up on that too?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's some people, you have to try and work out who's saying it to get told they're better than that, because there's that, this is how I appear. I think most people do believe in themselves, but secretly, and they need other people to say, no, I see that too. And coming from a different culture, I think it's really interesting for me because in England, and obviously I haven't lived there for 20 years, but when I lived in England, when you went to a networking event, we're naturally more humble. So you say things like, how's business? Oh, can't complain. Not too bad. And then I come here and everyone exaggerates. You all know you're exaggerating. Couldn't be better. Life's fantastic. Because if you just say, oh, it's okay or can't complain, people think it's going wrong. But both are weird because in England, we know we're kind of like, we can't go in and go, oh, it's brilliant. It's kind of like, I'd always tell the story when I was a kid and I'd bring home an A, like in a test to my mum, and I go, Mum, I got an A. I feel like Americans put that on the fridge and now take a photo and put it on Facebook. My mum was like, I hope you didn't show off like that at school. Now put it away. And so we're kind of taught to play down everything and be humble. That's kind of praised in England, whereas here it's like seen as a thing. So like if I get it wrong, if I walk into England and go, oh, everything's fantastic, they're like, who does she think she is? Whereas like if I walk in here and say can't complain, they're like, oh my God, her business is bad.
Yeah.
So it's all a play anyway, but I think most people want someone else to notice. It's incredible how a complete stranger can affect your life. When they say, oh my God, I noticed this, or that dress is beautiful on you, you tend to wear that, even though it's a complete stranger. And I think that's interesting, but in the end, you have to believe in yourself. And normally, if everyone says, "Oh no, you're no good at that," that's when you find that, no, I'm going to do this.
Yeah.
So it's that complete combination all the time. And some people, no, I think everyone secretly knows that they're special. I think everyone secretly believes that they have something incredible within them.
And unique.
Yeah.
Something that's unique to you. I always go to the words happy versus content. And I feel like I always strive to be content. And it's funny because it is definitely a marital disagreement. And maybe it's calmed down now 15 years in. But at the beginning, I would say I want to be content.
Describe what does content mean to happy?
So happiness, I feel like happiness comes and goes. Happiness is getting all the green lights on the way home. But then you get in a wreck, so then it's done. But to me, I think if you strive to be content, that's something that just has a longer tail on it. It just
I hear
lasts.
content and I'm like, you settled.
But see, it's the exact same thing you were just saying about things are good.
Yeah.
Because and that's that success
I will
metric.
always pick happy over content. I will always pick excitement over. It's like I
Settled.
settled and content. I am content.
Because that would actually tell me your business is not doing well. I'm content.
Yeah, but then there's a bigger way of being content, and it's like when you're home alone and you look at your life, or when you're just eating dinner with your husband, and there's like, no, I'm really content. Like I'm happy with my life and everything in it, and so I think it just depends on the way you say the word.
Okay,
because you're more than content. You haven't settled.
There's no settle. And I don't know, maybe it's a defense mechanism. Happiness can be struck down at any time, but being content,
joy of it, though.
Being content, and I'm not saying settled as in like settled for less, but that feels relaxing to me.
Yeah, no, I think you need that stability.
Yeah.
I am not stability.
Let's talk about the outside. We know this. Let's talk about the outside world. Another thing that really stood out to me in our conversations, and again, I'm making a lot of generalizations. So if you were at this tea, it's just some things I picked up. And that is the comparison to others and the perceived success that you think that others have. This could apply to social media. This could apply to friend groups or networking groups or anything else. But I just feel like comparison is such a killer.
I see, again, I think I spend too long thinking about things because it's natural to write, don't compare your insides to someone else's outsides on social media. And comparison is, the theft of joy or whatever the phrase is. But also, I think there's a good point in it. It's like, I want to do some crazy things. And then I find that someone in France once did something similar. And if they can do it, I can do it. If somebody can make their living like this, well, I can make my living the way I want to. And so I think there are some comparisons that are good. And I think what comparison really does is show you where you're at. Like there are some days when I'm like, I love what I'm doing. I'm getting better every day. I work really, really hard and my skills are improving all the time. And I look at Instagram, so it's my go-to, and other artists, and I'm cheering them on. Yay, yay, everything's great. And then there are days when I'm kind of insecure and I wake up feeling like I can't draw at all. And then I'm like, everyone's doing something better than me. Everyone's doing something bigger than me. All the great jobs are gone. All the ideas have been taken. So the comparison is between my reaction to it. And so I think sometimes it can be really motivating. And the great thing about being a creative, as they say, is we're all normally at home working really hard, and then we put a job out there and we get like an accolade for 20 minutes if we're lucky. But then while I'm sitting at home working, like one of my friends announced they've got, a publishing deal. They've obviously known about it for a while, but they get to put it out there. And another time it will be somebody else's turn. And I love that about the creative community. And my reaction to it shows me where I am, because sometimes I'm like, oh God, I'm so useless, I can't do that. And other times I'm, yay, everyone's getting deals. We're great.
Yeah.
And so I think that it's easy to come up with things like, say, comparison is the thief of joy. But I think it depends. If in different days, your reaction to exactly the same thing is different, then the thing you need to look at is yourself.
Okay, I'm going to spring something on you that I didn't tell you I wanted to do, but it's feeling good right now. Can we do a little bit of a lightning round of an Ask Aileen some questions? Just kind of what your immediate thought is.
Yeah.
Go with it? You say you lived in the United States for over 20 years. What is an aspect of British life that you miss day to day?
Sausage rolls.
Oh, so it's a thing. Sausage rolls. Is this?
Oh, sorry, I should say family first. No, you don't have sausage rolls for breakfast.
You have them for lunch, dinner?
For lunch or a snack.
Okay.
It depends. Depends on the size of the sausage roll and
Oh my God.
where you get the sausage rolls from. Just as a concept, sausage rolls are not a thing here.
Okay, so that's your aspect of, and I didn't want you to say family. I just didn't know what it was, and that's a great answer.
A lot of it, the reason I draw food is because sometimes it's those little cultural things you miss most.
Yeah.
And so one of the reasons I draw food and what people consider ordinary things here is because I understand that ordinary things are what makes a culture. And so I miss really ordinary things. I miss passion fruit being really cheap.
Yeah, because it's still a specialty thing here.
Yeah, they had it. They rarely have it in the stores here, and when it is, it's like $4 or $5 each.
Yes.
And so I miss like being able to buy
All right.
passion fruit.
Cheap passion fruit and sausage rolls.
Yes.
If I were to give you a 25th hour in today where nothing had to be accomplished, you didn't have to be productive, what are you going to be reading, watching, or snacking on?
I'm going to be reading. Probably, there's a book I reread a lot, and I'm trying to remember the name of it. The Eloquence of the Sardine.
Okay.
I'm slightly obsessed with it. It's about fish. It's written so beautifully, and I learn stuff every single time I read it, mainly because I forget half the stuff. But I'm halfway through a second rereading, so I would just sit and read that.
Well, my next question was, what's one book everyone should read at least once in their life? Would it be that one?
I think people should read every single book once in their life.
Read them all.
Yeah, read them all.
If you can get it in your hand.
But I think books appear. I have a rule. If 3 different people tell me about a book, then I have to read it immediately. And there are some books where I literally go, right, I'm going to read 3 pages a day because it's hard and I can't get through it. Obviously, I should say my book there, shouldn't I? But I think whatever book speaks to you, you should read. Mm-hmm. It's not like my journey isn't your journey. And most people don't want to read a book about sardines and just sea life in general. And I kind of do obsessively.
And finally, Aileen Bennett, what's next for you?
More travel, more illustration.
Maybe combining the two, travel and illustration?
I mean, you kind of have to. More ordinary things. I'm trying to take some time to do more of my own work. I always say that, and then I get caught up. I have a rule that I made about 5 years ago. I only take jobs that sound like they're gonna be amazingly fun for me. And then I've realized that everything is fun. And so I don't know what's next, but it's gonna be fun.
Aileen Bennett, thanks for coming by the vault. This has been so much fun. Appreciate it.